Hello students. So let me start with your lab experiments, analog circuit lab. And we already all the 7 experiments have been done in the lab. Theoretically you have done it, practically you have done it in the lab. So now I'll explain you the other experiments. So one of the experiment that you have to do is stable multivibrator. This you will be doing both in multisim as well as using a circuit. So what is the experiment? The aim of the experiment is to design an stable multivibrator. You can design it using 5-5 timer. It's an option. You can have even 741. According to the syllabus, we are making use of a timer. So we have two types here, symmetrical and asymmetrical. So when we are using a 5-5 timer, so it will be generating a rectangular waveform. And if the on period and off period are equal, we call it as a symmetrical. Otherwise, it becomes an asymmetrical. So I will show you the apparatus required along with the circuit diagram. So what is the stable multivibrator? It is a free running multivibrator. So that is, it goes to from the on period to the off period. It goes by itself, and from the off period to the on period. This is your on period, and this is your off period. So you do not require any triggering pulses from changing one state to the other state. So we call it as a free running multivibrator. So we can design this using a 5-5 timer. So I already have explained you about the circuit internal block diagram of 5-5 timer. So the same explanation we'll be having here. So when we call it as when the circuit or the capacitor is charging, it takes to the high level, and that is like 2 by 3 times of VCC it will be charging. And when it discharges, it will be 1 by 3 times of the VCC, applied VCC. So the height depends on the applied voltage VCC. And your 5-5 timer, we can operate it from 5 volts to up to 12 or 15 volts. So you can have this value of the square wave depending on the VCC applied. So I directly explain you about the how to design it. So you know what is duty cycle also. The percentage of on period we call it as a duty cycle. So you can see the formula T is equals to T on by T. So the on period by T, and if I write in terms of percentage, it becomes a duty cycle in terms of percentage. Otherwise, this is just a number. And how do you calculate this T on and T in this 5-5 timer? So here we will have, I'll first show you the circuit. Look at the circuit. This is the circuit where we have connected 4 and 8. These are the power supply points, where 4 is a reset point and this one 8 is the power supply. Both have been shorted and given to VCC. And you have from 4 to 7 we have connected the resistor R1, and from 7 to 6 we have connected another resistor. I'll tell you how we have got this 6.8 and 6.8 in the design. So here you have the pin number 4, as you all know, it is a reset pin, and the pin number 7, it is a discharge pin. So the discharging takes place through 4 and 7, and the pin number 6 and 2 we have shorted. The pin number 6 is a this one threshold, and pin number 2 is triggering point. So this tells you, this decides your period of on time and also the off time. So here if I want a symmetrical, so I have taken both R1 equals to R2. That I can show you it in the design aspect. And you have a capacitor C1, and this C1 decides whenever you have a charging and discharging, what is the time constant. It will be multiple of R and C. This R, whichever R comes into account, whether R1 and R2 comes into account or only R2 or R1 comes into account, depending on that, we will be writing the R value. So that becomes your time period, discharging time period, and charging time period. And you have a control voltage, that is pin number 5. To control the voltages across, that is the height of your pulses, we have a discharging point from 5 to 1. We have connected a capacitor, and this pin number 1 is a ground. So directly you have to give it 1 to the ground. Don't give pin number 5 or don't connect this point as a ground. Directly take 1 to the ground and connect these other C1, C2 to the pin number 1. Okay, and pin number 3 is an output. So this is how we are doing the connections. And coming to the design, what is the why the values of R1 and R2 6.8 kilo ohm I have taken. So coming to the design, so here you can see the charging during the charging point. Already as I have explained you about the internal circuit operation of a 5-5 timer. You can from that you can come to know that during the charging point we have the both the resistors coming into account. So R and C becomes what? R1 plus R2 into C, because both the resistors are taking place while are helping in charging of the capacitor. So when it reaches the point, that is 0.693 times of the your VCC, that we call it as a charging time, and it can be calculated using 0.693 R1 plus R2 into C. And discharging time also 0.693, that is 69.3 percentage of your total VCC. And in during the discharging point, this is R2, not R into 2, it is the resistor R2. Just do the correction there. So here we only R2 is helping for a discharging of a capacitor. When the capacitor is charged to its value, that is 69.3% of its original value, and now it is discharging. So while discharging, it is discharging through the resistor R2. So hence only R2 comes into account in this formula, and we call this discharging time as 0.693 divided by, then that is into R in R2 C. Next coming to that is total T. You know the total T, on period and off period. So you have total on period and off period. On period will be charging of the capacitor and off period will be discharging of the capacitor. Just add them. So you will have this formula, that is R1 plus 2 times of R2 into C, and 0.693 is common to both. So that I am leaving as it is. And next, that is your time period. From that you can write down the F also. So you know what is F. F is equals to 1 by T. Writing through the mouse, so you have the problem. This is F. Okay. So F is equals to 1 by T. You can calculate through this. If I choose R1, see you can have three. You have three unknowns. So you can have, if I give you frequency, you can just have the, you can assume C, and you will have equation in terms of R1 and R2. And through duty cycles, you will be having in terms of R1 and R2. I will be giving you the duty cycle and the frequency. So through that you can find out the values of R1 and R2 and assuming C, because you have two unknowns, three unknowns and two equations, right? So here duty cycle, you know that on period by total time period. So that if I'm using duty cycle, I'll be getting in terms of the resistors. You can see here. So R1 plus 2 R2 divided by R1 plus 2 R2, that is 100 per this one. This is sorry, it has to be T on. T on is what? R1 plus R2. Just remove this. Okay. R1 plus R2 divided by R1 plus 2 R2 into 100. So you have this equation, you have T, the one equation here, one equation here, and you know the T, that is F, that means automatically you know T, you know D. So if you assume C, you can calculate R1 and R2. So that is how you find out the value 6.8K. So here you can see that frequency I have written, and the equation, that is 1 divided by 0.693 becomes 1.44. So you have this example. So design, I have assumed C1 as 0.1 microfarad and it is symmetrical. So automatically symmetrical, there is no necessity of giving you the values of duty cycle. What will be the duty cycle for a symmetrical? It will be 50%. That is on period will be equals to off period. T on will be equals to your T off. Or charging time will be equals to your discharging period. So this is how you get 6.8 kilo ohm, right? So this is in asymmetrical, we are just removing here. In symmetrical, only thing is to bypass this R2, we are having the diode connected here. So whenever you have the diode is forward bias, R2 is will not come into account. When it is reverse bias, only R2 will, that time R2 will come into account. So in the asymmetrical, we are removing that value, and T is given, and accordingly in that you will be calculating the values. See again, C I have assumed as 0.1 microfarad, So here you can, in asymmetrical, then you can remove the diode connections, and you have R1 and R2 depending on the values of D. Here in this I have taken D as a 70%, 70% type, probably. That you can calculate, or we would have done it for 75. So you can calculate R1 and R2. It's not compulsory that I'll be giving it for 70%. I can give it for even lesser than that, like 40%. If I'm giving it for 50%, it is understood that it is a symmetrical waveform. Okay. So we have calculated, you can check the design here. We have taken symmetrical, duty cycle is 0.5 and frequency has been calculated for 1 kilohertz. So T you know here as 1 milliseconds and D as 0.5. Substitute that and you can get your values of R. So in the required expressions, already equations have been given in the previously. So just substitute there, you get the values of R. And in asymmetricals here, D is 0.75. You have the D value 0.75 and substitute in the expression. So 0.75 into TH, that is D is equals to what? TH by T. So what will get TH? TH has this. So you have calculated total T minus TL. So you have the remaining TL, that is TH is 0.75 and TL will become 0.25. So you can calculate TL for R2 into RC, and for TH it is R1 plus R2. So just calculate that. So you can assume C as 0.01 microfarad. You don't go for still lower values. Just you have standard as 0.01 microfarad and calculate. So TH will be getting the R1 and R2 values can be calculating using that formula. Just substitute the values and you will get the other values. This is just your equation, linear equations, where we have two equations and three unknowns. So I have taken one unknown as 0.01 microfarad and other two you are calculating using the two equations. That is very simple. So general maths you can do. What will be the waveform? I told you. So this is the output waveform. This is at pin number 3. So this is at pin number 3. You can get it as 0 and this is as VCC, right? And here this is across the capacitor charging and discharging. This is from this point to this point, we call it as a charging, and from this point to this point we call it as a discharging of a capacitor. Hence you have this waveform, the charging like this and discharging in this fashion. So this is your on current, this is your T on and this is your T off. You can see both this one T on and T off. This is a waveform for what? It is a waveform for your symmetrical, right? Both are equal. And what will be the values here? If this has to be 0, the values have been shifted after I converted it to PDF. So this becomes your reference 0. This point will be, what will be the discharging? It will discharge up to 1 by 3 VCC. So this is 1 by 3 VCC. And capacitor will charge up to what value? Up to 2 by 3, 2/3 of VCC. Okay, when it reaches 2 by 3 by VCC, it starts discharging. And when it reaches 1 by 3 times of VCC, it again starts charging. So this is I already explained in your the internal block diagram of 5/5 timer. So for asymmetrical, depending on we had taken 75%, you can see T on is 75 times of your total T, and you can see this is only 25% of your total T. This from this point to this point we call it as a total T. So you can see during the T on you have a charging of the capacitor here during this point, and this point you can see only during this period you have discharging of the capacitor. Okay, so let us explain the circuit connection and the output of the waveform. I'll explain you in using the breadboard and your CRO. I'll explain it.
Students, today we will do practical of a stable multivibrator, how to rig up the circuit on the breadboard. So first, let us keep the components ready. Like the 555 timer IC, I have already placed on the breadboard. and 6.8 kilo ohm resistors of 2 numbers, and 0.1 microfarad of capacitor of 1 number, and 0.01 microfarad capacitor of 1 number, and diode IN4001 of 1 number. So as you see the circuit here, first you short for pin number 4 and 8 with a wire. As you know, the timer I have placed on the breadboard. From left side it is 1, 2, 3, 4, and bottom from 8 it is 5, 6, 7, 8. So pin number 4 and 8 should be shortened. Next, you short pin number 6 and 2. Whichever points are shorted, first you do that short points firstly. So 6 and 2. See, two blue wires are connected the points which are shorted. That means pin number 4 and 8 are shorted, and pin number 6 and 2. Now you connect resistor 6.8 from pin number 4 or 8. One end of the resistor should be connected. So from pin number 4 I am taking one end of the resistor is connected here, and other end I will place on the breadboard in this way. So other end of the resistor is connected to the other end of the another resistor, that is also 6.8. You can see here two resistors I have connected here in series. Next, you should connect capacitor of 0.1. And it is connected to the ground. You can see here from pin number 1 it is connected to the ground. Okay, now I have completed this part, that is R1, R2 and C1. Now I will connect pin number 7 to the junction of two resistors, that is R1 and R2. So pin number 7. You can see here pin number 7. It is connected to the junction of two resistors, that is R1 and R2. And another one connection is connected from pin number 6 and 2. That is, we have shorted already pin number 6 and 2. From there you connect to the other junction, that is from one end of the resistor and capacitor C1. You can see here I have connected from pin number 6. I have shorted this wire from 6. I have taken to the junction of capacitor and resistor. And for pin number 5, you should connect 0.01 capacitor to the ground. So pin number 5 is here. I will connect one end of the capacitor is connected there, and other end is given to the ground. So this side I am making it as ground now. Okay. Then this is grounded, and pin number 1 also you should ground. Okay, is it clear now? Pin number 1 is grounded, and one of the capacitor which is coming from pin number 5 is also grounded here, and another one capacitor which is in series with the two resistor is one end is also grounded here. Then now we will connect the diode parallel to the R2 resistor. That also you can see I have connected parallelly to R2 resistor. Now the circuit rig up is complete. Now we should give supply to the pin number 8, and we should take output at pin number 3 with the help of CRO.
So this was about circuit connection. Let us look at the output of the circuit.
After rigging of the circuit, you give ground of the power supply to the ground terminal where we have connected by side. We have connected by side ground point and I am taking plus 12 volts, that is connected to pin number 8. Now we will check the output at pin number 3 of the timer. I have connected positive terminal of the CRO to the pin number 3 and negative terminal to the ground. Now I switch on the source. You can see a stable multi-vibrating output.
You can see the output at pin, this is the output at pin number 3. You can see here you have, this is off period and your, I'll adjust it. This is your on period and this is your off period. Just check the values. You can see it is 2 division and that is on period. T on is 2 division and what is here, it is 0.2 milliseconds. So 2 box into 0.2 milliseconds will give you 0.4 milliseconds. That is T on, and T off you can see that is also 2 boxes is being covered and the time per division is also 0.2. So you have again 2 box into 0.2, that is 0.4 milliseconds T off, and T on also 0.4 milliseconds. So T on is equals to T off, and you can just check the level of the square wave that you have got. So just I'll place it on a line. So how many box you have got here, see, it's approximately 2 boxes, 2.1. and what is the voltage here? Voltage here is 5 volts. So you have got approximately 10 volts. 2 box, if I am considering 2 into 5 volts, that is 10 volts is the peak to peak of a square wave. Even now you can check the output at pin number 6. So I'll just remove the probe from pin number 3 and I'll connect it across the capacitor. So that is across your pin number 2 or 6, you can check it, or across the capacitor, which capacitor, which is connected to the resistor, that capacitor. So here you can see this will be the charging, this is the charging point and this is the discharging, and the time period from this point to this point you will have as a charging, and from this point to this point, T, I am talking about T, that will be a discharging time. So here you can just check how much you have got. So 1 box, 2 box, exactly 2 boxes you have got this time period, 2 box, and again the 0.2 milliseconds. So it is 0.2 milliseconds, 2 into 0.2, that is 0.4 milliseconds. You can verify that, and you can see from this tip to this tip it has covered 2 boxes, x-axis. So 2 box into 0.2 again, that is 0.4 milliseconds, that which you verified in the and output at pin number 3. I'll just show them with the overlap, both the channels I'll make use of. See, you can see the output, both the output at pin number 3 and across the capacitor, that is either 6 or 2. So one is, this is your capacitor output, and this channel we have used for the output 3 pin number, that is our stable output. You can see the square wave, and we have used the symmetrical, so you have symmetrical output, and you can see during the charging you have got here the off period, and during discharge you have a on period. Okay, so that we had checked that during discharge and charging we had got 0.4 milliseconds and 0.4 milliseconds. That was verified using a that is symmetrical output waveform. For asymmetrical, what was this one? Just we had to remove this diode, and the resistors had to be changed. So we'll do that. We are just removing this diode, okay, and you can see the changes there. So we have used same resistors. According to that, you have got on period is more than the off period. So let's just change the resistor also according to the design. We are using 3.3 instead of the first 6.8 kilo ohm. So that is for, you should get a duty cycle of 75%. So you can see here. So first I will show you only the pin number 3 output. you can see the off period is very small and on period is larger, that is 3 times of this. So this is your total T from this end, that is where you have the gap from this end to the where the charging this line ends. So this will be your T. You can just check it, what is the value you are getting. So it is approximately, that is one box, that is blank, one box into 0.2 milliseconds. So it have it as 0.2 milliseconds, and check this line, this is almost the you are having 3 boxes. So 3 box into 0.2 milliseconds, you are getting it as 0.6 milliseconds. So 0.6 and this is 0.2, and that will be your total T. And coming to the discharging, that is capacitor waveforms, you can check that the discharging and the charging here. So here you are getting it correct, exactly the charging time on period, discharging time off period. In previous it was just the invert was pressed, so you have got that inversion. So here you can have charging on period, discharging off period. Discharging is very small compared to the charging, so this is asymmetrical. You can do the reverse way also. Less than 50%, what you will have, discharging time period will be larger than the charging time period. So this is about symmetrical and asymmetrical astable multi-vibrator. So in my astable multi-vibrator, remember that I have used only the power supply which is required for the operation of a 5-5 timer and the CRO. So where we will be doing a other multi-vibrator, other than the astable, that is monostable or bistable, you have only monostable. So that time I will be making use of a triggering pulse. So I will be requiring a triggering pulse extra, so that I can move from the stable state to the other unstable state. Okay, thank you.